Hey Nindy fans, Tom here and welcome to our review of Dead End Job for the Nintendo Switch. Dead End Job puts you in the shoes of Hectoplasm. I see what you did there folks, very funny, clever name, who is working in a dead end job per se, clearing various locations of ghosts. Working at Nindy Nexus, I certainly know how it feels to be in a dead end job, so I have a little experience here. Anyhow, I think we should get into things. Dead End Job is a twin-stick shooter and aligns itself with the classic gameplay tropes of the genre that games like Enter the Gungeon so excellently employ. That does mean that random generation is involved, but don't be scared, it really works well for Dead End Job. You choose one of the locations available from your main office, head off over to it, and go room to room clearing ghosts and completing the usual objective, I should say, of saving people from these ghoulish ghosties. Visually, Dead End Job is incredibly distinct, and I think it employs its art style really well. Essentially, you're going back to the classic cartoons of the 90s with some really awesome character designs and environmental graphics too. Even the intro to the game is reminiscent of a cheesy cartoon, and to be honest, it suits Dead End Job perfectly. I loved it. This is where the story, which is admittedly as bare bones as they come, is laid out. Essentially, your pal was a victim of a bizarre choking incident involving a rather stubborn sandwich, and you have to save her ghostly soul. Quick and easy, but who really cares in a game like this anyway? You're not playing these kind of cute little indie games for the breathtaking story and the fantastic narratives. Well, some of you might be, and if you are, Dead End Job is not the game for you. It's all about the action, and that's what we're going to talk about now. Loading into a location puts you straight in with your objective, tells you how many people are trapped, and then you are allowed to go whichever way you want in order to try and find them. Most of the environments are destructible and deposit money like Mark Zuckerberg at a robotic strip club. Some even explode. I loved using the environments to take down some of the ghosts before sucking them in, and Dead End Job does a great job of making everything so fun, which is something that so many games miss nowadays. It plays very similarly to Luigi's Mansion, although obviously it has a top-down view. You can use the equivalent of the proton pack from Ghostbusters to shoot the ghost, and once their health is depleted, you suck them using the Hoover attachment. I mean, what was I saying? This is very similar to Luigi's Mansion, but it's a tried and tested formula. There is an overheat function on both weapons though, and this will leave you open to attacks from the ghosts. So it is crucial to balance your firing and moving to succeed. I had quite a few times early on where I would go hell for leather with my weapons, be trapped in a corner and I died. It really does make sure that you have to correctly use your weapons and just play smartly. Every capture earns you cash, which you use to meet preset targets into a little glass piggy bank reminiscent of when you were a child. I really like this touch. It was a really... This game is just packed with charm, and that's an example of it. Enemy variety is decent enough too, but the majority of the gameplay follows this sequence fairly closely, which we'll get into a bit more later. Hector has a total of 3 hit points, and all the ghosts steal a flat 1, whether that be normal or bosses. Items which boost your health are common enough though, so a competent player shouldn't face too many issues, although sometimes things can get very hairy when you're on 1 health and you're dashing around the rooms trying to find a sandwich. Speaking of these items though, unlike something like Enter the Gungeon, which documents what each and every item does once you acquire them, Dead End Job leaves you completely in the dark to experiment and figure out what everything does. Food obviously boosts health, but the others are a real mystery until you use them enough to remember. I wasn't a fan of this, to be honest. Too often I wasted items because even when you use them a couple of times, and even when you use them just the first time, there's no clear indication of what they do. Sometimes I'd use an item, it would activate, there would be an effect, and I still had no idea what I'd actually just done. A better way to use this system for me would have been to add them to a log of sorts once you use them to maybe explain what exactly they do, rather than leaving us completely to try and figure it out ourselves. They don't hinder you enough to make this decision make sense, so I can't really justify why Dead End Job chooses this route. Another issue I had with the game was the eventual repetitive nature of the gameplay. It is fun, don't get me wrong, but the lack of variety in overall objectives makes it stale too quickly for a game like this. Saving citizens again and again and again and shooting and sucking in ghosts again and again and again got old too quick, and the lack of sequence changing really hammers this home. I definitely think more environments, for example, could have helped here, and it is a shame that a game so visually pleasant doesn't have too many places to show off in this regard. The scope is an issue in other places too. For example, money has no real use outside of the streamlined unlocking of new areas. It is used to unlock other job areas on the map to see other themed areas like the park and museum, for example. But aside from this, it does nothing, which means earning it feels rather shallow and like it could have been replaced by a simple progress bar or experience points. It would have been awesome if you could use money to buy new outfits or gun skins or so on. I mean, I don't know, I'm just trying to make some ideas here. I think it is important to make currency have uses which give the player choices, and if it doesn't, I don't really see the point, and it doesn't here. Again, look at something like Enter the Gungeon. The fact you can decide what to buy allows for great player agency and feeds the addictive nature that rogue games offer. If you've got incentives to earn money, to go and suck all the ghosts in a certain building and to make sure you get all the people and whatnot, it can really turn stuff away from being repetitive and making it more addictive in nature. I must say though, I was a really big fan of the leveling up system which exists between death. Essentially, as you progress through runs and across different runs without dying, you upgrade your license, which gives you a new humorous title, and some of these are really funny, and perks to make you an all-round better ghost catcher. The selection of perks you can choose from are things like making your gun do more damage, or reducing the speed of overheating. There are lots of these which can give you a small little edge without making you too powerful. Death takes this away, as it should. A punishment for death is great in a game like this, and it reduces you back to your basic skills, so you have to really build up again. I really enjoyed experimenting with different upgrades though, and believe this is probably one of the best parts of Dead End Job. For what it is worth, I had a lot of fun with this game. The Switch version runs really well, it looks good, and is an enjoyable enough experience because of the addictive level of gameplay contained. However, I do think the lack of variety in so many areas is really detrimental to the overall experience, and I can see why many players, and I experienced this myself, will become burned out before the adventure ends. For me, I'd recommend playing this game in really short stints, maybe going a couple of levels at a time, and it's the best way to do it because it makes sure that you'll push yourself to the end. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed myself the entire time, but as I was getting close to the finish, I could definitely feel myself getting ready to move on to something new. It's a decent option, and it's not necessarily a must buy in this kind of genre because there are so many good games on the Switch that are top down and that use rogue elements, but not every game needs to be a golden heart, and I am content with giving Dead End Job a well deserved full heart, and I can recommend it to people who might be interested in it because I think you really will enjoy it. It doesn't do anything breathtakingly new, but it doesn't have to. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed our review of Dead End Job. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe for more reviews and other indie content. Let me know your thoughts on this game down in the comments. Is this one you're interested in picking up? It is out now, it is available on all the eShops, and I think it's definitely something you should check out. Anyway though, thank you so much for watching. My name is Tom. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.